What's going on, y'all? Back with another JT's Mixtape, episode number 26. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you. Now, a quick word about our sponsor, Modern Roots Life. It's an awesome company, Christian owned and operated, a member of this very community. And they sell a wide variety of health supplements, including cod liver, beef tallow, magnesium, natural salts, all which I am now using. Great products, all natural and third-party tested. There's no minimums or commitments, so you really don't have anything to lose. And you have a whole lot to gain. So if you're already using health supplements, I encourage you to check out Modern Roots Life and consider switching. Check out the link in my description for Modern Roots Life, because you can support this podcast and you can support a great Christian family that's in this community. Thank you and love you guys.
Come closer, my child.
Brian, what's going on, bro?
What's going on? Nothing much, man. Dude, I just got on a podcast, a really big one, dude. The
Tell us about it.
Sean Kelly's podcast. And I was like totally like I just like basically denounced like witchcraft and like just like I'm gonna piss so many people off. There's gonna be so many people watching, and this guy has like a bunch of channeler people on his podcast, and I just kind of said a lot of things. It was
How was it? Was he receptive to your take on it?
Bro, he was totally like, this is awesome. He was like, yeah, he was like, wow, like you spoke like I've never heard a Christian talk like this. Like you spoke with like love and he was just like totally taken back by it. He was just like, wow. He's like, you didn't like, it wasn't like condemning hearing you speak, but like you made sense. And it was like, he was just like, wow. He's like, I've never heard somebody like talk like this before. Like,
well, praise like, God, okay. Man. That's good. It's really good.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I didn't get to say everything I was going to say. I was supposed to tell my testimony, but like we ended up going, it just started coming out of me, bro. Like, and he was supposed to go for 45 minutes as a show. He let me go for double that time. It was like an hour and 30. I just totally lost track of time. There were so many things I didn't even get to say that I wanted to say. But like, he's like, bro, I'm going to have you back on. And I'm like, okay, sweet. Yeah. Like, so he wants me to come back on and to talk more. And so the Lord just took over, bro. I just started spitting fire, speaking truth, man. It was pretty awesome. So we'll see how it all comes out.
well, I'll be sure to share it when it's available. So yeah, you guys can check that out. Brian on the Sean Kelly podcast. Sean Kelly, is it?
Yep.
What is Sean it? It's Kelly. Called some. What is it called? It's called some talk or
Social
something.
Hour or something. I think.
Social Hour. Oh yeah, that's right. Social Hour. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So it's interesting. We're recording this on Easter weekend, Passover weekend, Resurrection weekend, whichever you prefer. Obviously, I prefer Resurrection weekend. But it was really interesting, and we'll try not to go too far onto this because I know this could be the whole podcast, and this might be the whole Ancient Angels podcast when we talk about it. But I don't know if you saw this, Brian. Wes Huff. Did you hear what Wes Huff said about Easter?
Oh, I did not. But did he say it wasn't pagan?
Oh, of course he did. Of course he did. I couldn't help but respond to this. Let me see. I'll pull up the tweet, and yeah, I mean, so Wes Huff. I'm forever grateful that he put that charlatan Billy Carson in his place. That being said, we still need to address this. Check out what he wrote over here. So he put, Happy Holy Week. Instead of Easter is a pagan holiday, say I'm historically illiterate. Instead of Easter is named for a pagan goddess Ishtar, the only research I've done on this topic is from the memes or social media. Instead of Easter eggs come from a pagan ritual where eggs were dyed with human blood, I will believe literally any myth that reinforced my preconceived assumptions about Easter. And of course, I had to quote that and said, Wes wants you to ignore the Bible and all common sense.
It's funny because his last statement might be true. The last statement is like, and that's interesting because it's like the red herring. It's like, you know what they do with a lot of like these conspiracies? It's like, okay, it's like true, totally outlandish. And then they make it so that way when this one last statement is outlandish, you think all the rest of it is.
Right.
And
You're
so
talking about like the eggs dyed with human blood.
yeah, that's nonsense. There's nothing about that. That's just made up
Stuff. I guess
but
the point is, it's like it's unverified if that ever happened. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be shocked if it was.
no,
but yeah,
we
like
wouldn't be shocked at all. But there is no.
Well, I think that I've seen people argue from the same point of view that Wes has before, where they say that like trying to tie this to Ostre, which actually that's the goddess I would say that Easter is most associated with, because that's the German fertility goddess. But truth be told, they're all the same. So like just a different name for regionally. But he'll say that there's no credible historical evidence for this. Whatever. There's lots of it. I mean, there's lots of it. I guess it depends on, from a scholarly point of view that Wes would be coming from, would say, oh, this is not facts. And obviously the historic church has defended Easter. So therefore they put that above whatever. So then they make a rationalization for the bunnies and the eggs and all that kind of stuff. That's why I said, it's like, common sense says that that's not biblical. It has no connection with Jesus and the resurrection. Yeah. But then later it's like somebody's attempted to justify it. But I agree with you. Yeah. Like, here's the most outlandish part he points to. And he says, this is, you believe anything that reinforces your preconceived notions. But it's like, but we don't have preconceived notions about Easter, because I think most people grew up, especially if you grew up in the church, your preconceived notion about Easter was it's connected to Jesus and the Bible and all these things, until you start to actually just think like these traditions are sort of weird. It's like, where are they getting this in the scriptures? The answer is they're not getting it in the scriptures. And I think that's why it's really troubling that he's really coming at it with a very kind of like Pharisee type spirit. Like, you believe these other people. But trust me, bro, because I'm a scholar. I'm a learned man. When we are kind of coming from it like, this looks weird. It's not biblical. So where is it coming from? So whether the Catholic Church said it was fine, that's not good enough for me. I don't find that credible at all.
Dude, I think that when you see images like this of the gods with their
what I was gonna
bro.
Literally, it was funny. I was trying to record a video today, and it wasn't happening. But yeah, so I would say, okay, so a couple things here. The bunnies.
Here we
Brian
got
showing that picture.
This one too. Yeah. You got to see this one just because it's just so.
Yeah. Well, no. See, what you have is, so let's address the bunnies, and then we'll get to the eggs.
Yeah.
The bunnies obviously are associated with spring.
Yeah.
Right.
And reproduction.
Associated and reproduction. Right. Bunnies are often shown to be a symbol of promiscuity. That's why you have the Playboy bunny. You could also have the kind of white rabbit imagery with like the Alice in Wonderland stuff,
or Roger Rabbit, even.
Right. Very sexual thing in that cartoon as well.
Yeah.
But what you also have is that they're going at it like rabbits.
Yes.
Rabbits reproduce like big time, like really fast in the springtime. And so, being historically literate, I would say there's a great amount of history of pagan religions celebrating the spring equinox, and symbols of spring are bunnies for one, and then also eggs. So eggs are not symbol of the resurrection, because eggs are a symbol of fertility, like new birth, not a resurrection. And so what's really interesting, again, so you have the name Easter. Yeah, there's a German goddess named Ostre, which is obviously very similar to Ishtar. Or you could even say, like, I think in the Bible, there's also Ashtoreth. Or it could be Isis. I mean, it's kind of all the same things. But what I specifically want to go to is a very specific biblical example of this. So there's a famous story in the book of Acts. Paul is preaching in Ephesus. And he's obviously preaching the way. He's preaching Jesus and the resurrection. And there's these Jews that start to stir the people up against Paul, because there's a big business there selling idols. Idols to who? idols to Artemis because there was this massive temple to Artemis in Ephesus. And there's a statue in there of Artemis. And I guess there's representations of it because I don't think the statue exists anymore.
Yeah. They've all been
But
burned.
yeah, if you see right here of Artemis, which is really kind of interesting because Artemis was Apollo's sister, or, in the mythology, she's Apollo's twin sister. And so Apollo, the sun god, is the god of the sun. And then his sister is the goddess of the moon. But she's also the goddess of the hunt, which is really interesting with the statue. Of course, you see how unusual it is. There's all those bumps on it.
Those bumps.
And what do those bumps look like to you, Brian?
I mean, they definitely don't look like the mini boobs that supposedly it is. It looks a little bit more like eggs to me.
They look like eggs. So again, like I was
like
saying,
a spider's eggs. It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. It's definitely unusual. It's definitely creepy. But it's not really as weird as you think when you think that it doesn't really matter when you talk about these pagan goddesses. They're all associated with fertility.
Yeah. And
so this is just one more example of it. And yeah, so this is the egg. This is what the eggs are about. Which is, like I said, it's common sense that eggs, fertility.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know that bunnies don't lay eggs. But yeah, you have the things like the Cadbury eggs and the bunnies lay. And I mean, it's kind of like, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Tell me it's raining. Wait, I got one. In ancient Egyptian, the hieroglyphs, the rabbit represents the verb to be, to happen, or to continue. Often denoted by the belittle WN or UN, the rabbit was also associated with the god Osiris, symbolizing his death, resurrection, and the cycle of the Nile floods. The rabbit's swiftness and keen senses lead to the veneration as a symbol of luck and prosperity, like the lucky rabbit's foot.
Yeah, the rabbit's foot, yeah.
Bro, this is like totally like, it's like an occultic like symbolism, like for sure. So it's all
also lucky rabbits are also not biblical.
No. And the word lucky, just so you guys know, lucky comes from the god Loki or Inki, and who's the god of chaos and mischief. Okay. Loki, like he's the chaos god. Okay. The trickster god, Inki. And so when you say good luck, what you're saying is essentially like, bring the god of chaos. Hopefully he rains good stuff on me and not bad stuff. That's the concept of good luck. Like that's where it comes from. It's good Loki. It's good Inky. It's good chaos is what they're hoping for in a sense. So
yeah, it's just at the end of the day, it's kind of like that. I take no pleasure in trying to correct somebody like Wes Huff, but I mean, I do think it's just the way his tone was worse. Like I think that was the thing that really struck me is that it's like you're stupid if you believe that Easter is pagan.
That's literally what he's saying, and it's like it's not uplifting one another because we're on the same team. We're really on the same team, honestly. So it's not like we're sitting here trying to like demoralize others and individuals. We're just trying to explain like this is what it is. Like wake up to the reality that Satan runs the world, yo. Like wake up, realize it's not. We're not living in fairy tale land where. God's in control of all this stuff. Dude, God let the world get flooded. God allows things to happen. He's sovereign, which means the outcome in the end will be to his desire. Like, but it doesn't mean like how we get there.
In his glory.
Yeah, it doesn't mean how we get there is exactly how he wants it. You know what I mean? So like people are very ignorant when they're like thinking, oh, this is all good. Like, no. Like
Right. Well, it's interesting that even like I had a conversation with Old World Florida. And he was pointing stuff to me in the Bible that I really didn't even notice before about. I mean, I kind of noticed, but when the way he said it made me think it was in, I think, Jeremiah 7 is that God never really wanted them to sacrifice animals to him.
That's interesting.
He says it more than one time. Like, and I guess I remember reading over that and not really understanding it. I think it's kind of in the same way that when the Pharisees asked Jesus about divorce and he says, isn't it written in the law of Moses that you just hand a woman a piece of paper and send her away? And Jesus said that was never the intention. And so it's kind of interesting that some things that were in the law and things that they did was really not what God wanted anyways. So you could say something like this, where God allowed this? Well, I mean, obviously God, God has still given us free will. He's allowed this to take place. But I can imagine to be like, it was never my intention you to mix celebrating the cross, Jesus conquering sin and death, with bunnies and eggs in a spring fertility festival. Just because it's convenient on the calendar that it just happens to work out, it can like this weekend, Passover weekend falls the same weekend as Easter. But I remember last year it was like almost like a month difference because like literally the calendar, the way that it's calculated versus the spring equinox, it just sometimes it works out that way. But no, they're not the same. And I think that celebrating spring, having a spring festival is probably not a bad thing. But when you combine it with,
Ishtar
what Jesus
bunnies.
did for what Jesus did for us, it's offensive to me. And I think that I would like people in Wes's position to act a little more humble, like act with a little more humility. Like that, I think that's the part that really kind of makes us, I don't know, have a disdain for academia. And I don't have a disdain for people who have learned more than me, but it's just like that. Like you have to know that some of the sources you're citing are not biblical. They're not straight from the book of Isaiah, or Deuteronomy, which would probably tell you to do the opposite of what they're doing on Easter.
Oh yeah, it says, "Do
right?
not worship my God. Do not worship the Lord your God the way the pagans do." The Bible says, like, are you kidding me? It says, "Do not worship God like the pagans, like in the same manner."
Right, absolutely. So I mean, so there's biblical precedent that says, no, that is very similar to how the pagans do it, if not identical. So I guess that's the kind of thing that like Christmas becomes really offensive to a lot of us because, it becomes about presents and this fat guy whose name sounds like Satan, instead of, if you believe it's about the birth of Jesus. Well, I mean, obviously it's hard for kids to really wrap their minds around that when it's presented like this. So what do kids look forward to on Easter?
On Ishtar.
They look forward to Easter egg hunts and baskets full of candy. Just it's like the same thing, except it's candy and not
Toys.
Presents.
Yeah.
But now it's funny, of course, in America, it is toys now too, because obviously anything to get a young child's focus off of what's really important, and put it on obviously just materialistic, just vanity.
Dude, I think
it's a joke. It's a joke, and I do think that like Wes is, he's giving me a little bit of gatekeeper vibes because he was like trying to defend the Schofield Bible. What was the other thing he said? He said some things that are just, I'm like, bro, like no, like just because some man's taught you that does not mean it's right.
Yeah, just because the words of some thing that you've learned in academia doesn't mean that academic, who wrote the academic books, dude. Like, it's so simple to be like, okay, that looks a little suspicious. Like, dude, how suspicious is Christmas when they changed the name to Xmas? Oh, that's the abbreviation for Christ. Yeah, X, right? And then there's a man named Santa who sounds like Satan. Like, I just got to be like, how naive do you have to, like, when you look at it from an outside perspective, you're like, so wait, Santa and Satan's a bad guy, right? And then you guys celebrate Santa like on the same day? Like, dude, like when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, something's not right here from the outside perspective, but we're so conditioned and brainwashed that we just ignore these things.
Well, some of us are. And then those who are not, that's the people he's throwing shade at.
Yeah.
Is the ones who are thinking for ourselves and not just trusting in doctrines of men. And I think that's the thing that really bothers me. It is like a Pharisee spirit where it's like that, anybody can have a podcast. Anybody can have a podcast now and everyone can share the things they've learned. So you're believing things you heard on the internet. Oh, and you're learning things you heard in seminary.
Exactly.
So, like, we're supposed to trust things you learned in college.
He's got a piece of paper, bro.
Too, but I said, obviously, I've had to unlearn a lot of that stuff. It's not because, just being able to regurgitate things you've memorized is not a sign of intelligence. Critical thinking is a sign of intelligence, in my mind.
But
he's not a dumb guy. So that's the thing. It's like, I wonder if there's something else going on.
I got a certificate. Ready? Here's mine. Jesus certificate. This is my certificate, guys. So I know.
The only seal that really matters is the seal of the Holy Spirit, and I think that more than anything, I think it's the attitude more than anything that bothered me. But anyways, like I said, we could definitely do a whole podcast on that, and I'm sure maybe we will.
Yeah.
But let's go to some videos. And so the other big news this week was Katy Perry and a group of ladies went to outer space. Did you hear about that, Brian?
Bro, wow, that's just amazing. They're female astronauts, and they're just like empowering the world, and and the music industry. Like, I don't know why Katy Perry's there, but who wasn't there other famous people, or was Katy Perry? I thought.
Yeah. Well, let's watch a video about that, and we'll see. We'll watch from You Won't Believe Me. He's got a pretty good take on this.
Love his channel.
I found something really weird about the 11-minute trip to space that happened today. So if you didn't know, the first all-female crew went to space today for a couple minutes. It included people like Gayle King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez, the fiance of Jeff Bezos. And watching from the bottom was Oprah Winfrey, Kris Jenner, Khloe Kardashian, a lot of celebrities involved with this. First of all, I want to talk about the outfits and the symbol in particular on the outfits. At first, it looks like just a rocket or a pod, whatever it is. But when you flip it upside down, it looks really interesting, almost like a symbol that we've seen before. And I'm not saying that this is anything demonic or anything like that, but I mean, the similarities, it's hard to ignore. I don't know who created the logo, but the outfits themselves were designed by Lauren Sanchez, and she collabed with the co-founders of Monse, which is a really popular brand. But anyway, here is a map of the flight that they took. It's done by Blue Origin, owned by Jeff Bezos. It's his company. And here are the timestamps. You can see exactly how it went down. It looks like they were in space for about 2 minutes, or the edge of space for about 2 minutes. And when they came out and landed, everyone was super emotional. I mean, Katy Perry coming out and she is kissing the ground, and there was a whole live stream going on when this was happening. You can also take a look here at what she said.
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give and how loved you are until the day you launch.
What does that have to do with love? Am I missing it, bro? Am I missing it? What does that have to do with feeling love? Just because you were in a spaceship thing that went like what? What is that? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it. Do you understand that? Like, why would you feel love? Like, what is that?
Well, I think that what I see is that this is obviously magic. I mean, this is television. They're broadcasting, and like, so there's a reason why they did this. And it's, because I mean, the reasons that supposedly they gave are ridiculous. So yeah, like that. Yeah, there's the video of like Katy Perry when they're bouncing around, floating in space. She's putting the butterfly over her one eye, and showing all the signs. And what's interesting too is like 11 minutes. So why is it 11 minutes? Of course, I would be skeptical if it didn't have something to do with the magic number is 11. So 11 and 11. And so K is the 11th letter. That's why in the Aleister Crowley school, they spell magic with a K because it's magical. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the fact that they went up there, and the goofy part is that they were floating around and they're just going, they're just having the best time in 0 G's or whatever.
Got it? 1, 2, 3, take it up space! Woo! Tamir's in space. It's okay. Leave Flynn up there. Flynn, behind you. Look. Flynn, I gotcha. Flynn. Gotcha. Proud of you, Flynn. Flynn, can I pick up? Oh, the moon! You guys, I will have to tell you, look at the moon. That's amazing.
Wow, look at the blue line.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goddess.
Wow.
Oh my That's our pink moon. Okay. Now it's time to pick out that one. Oh my
space
gosh.
traveler.
She's so much. Oh my gosh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's amazing.
The funny part about that is, if you really think about it, okay, they're blasting off on some phallic-shaped rocket, which obviously you can't help but think that it's like, it literally is like Austin Powers, that one movie where there was a ship that looked just like one of those. And yeah, like you can't help but see that. And if this was real, right, that's not a lot of time to get out of your seatbelt and all the things and get back in. Because if you're talking about like in 2 minutes, they're experiencing zero gravity, like that's really dangerous if they weren't back in their seats, because like literally the pod pops off, they fall straight down. And like you have that kind of, with the splashdown kind of vibes with like the parachutes and all the things. What? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how insanely dangerous that would be? Going that fast and getting ready to fall to Earth.
I don't know, man. I just feel like they could have easily like launched them and just fell, but they probably weren't in upper atmosphere, like outer space. Like maybe they just like got pretty high up and then dropped them. I don't know. I just feel like it just seems ridiculous. I've gone skydiving and you from the plane that I jumped, I felt like I think I was in the air for 2 minutes. It was like a minute something. And so I wasn't even like that high up. So like if they were only free falling for like 2 minutes, I'm like, how much further up did they go than where I was at? like I don't even know. Like that doesn't seem that much further up. Right? They said 2 minutes, right? A free fall or something?
Well, that's what I guess is what he was saying, like based on the little chart, like how long they would have been able to experience zero gravity. Again, it seems like there's not a lot
falling. That's all it is, guys. It's falling without the wind affecting you.
Well, I mean, but they can kind of float up and down. I mean, they're going, like I said, they were kind of going around like weightlessly.
Yeah, because
I mean,
they're falling without the wind resistance because the shell is taking the wind resistance. So you're just
supposedly, if this is real. But here's another video I'm going to share. This one has been rightfully getting a lot of play because of the questions about it.
That is incredibly suspicious because supposedly there was like that tool that he needed to open the thing, and this one was live, right? So he needed that special tool to open it, but then Katy Perry or whoever's inside jumps the gun and go ahead and opens the door from the inside, and in excitement. And maybe she was just so erratically excited that she just found the secret lever to open the door from the inside or whatever. Who knows? But like,
well, the thing is, yeah, so it opened from the inside. And I think that was Jeff Bezos, right?
Yeah, that was Jeff Bezos, yeah.
That was going to open the hatch which seemed to be some kind of lever that you had to like, almost like, you could imagine if you were going under the ocean,
supposed to be
right?
Outer space, so it's supposed to hold the atmosphere and their oxygen in there. So,
well, right, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like what you'd kind of compare it to would be if you were like in a submarine, like one of these deep sea submarines, and this thing's got like probably this kind of crank that you have to like. It's got to be airtight.
Yeah.
So you can't just flap it open. I mean, even just look at how you saw how it opened, you would think it would have this big, but the door would be sturdy and thick, right? Because if it opens while you're in outer space, you're dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like you would expect you have to have some kind of device that opens it, like an air seal. Like you'd think it would have been like a big old pop, you know what I mean? Like of like when this thing was exposed to
pressure or something.
Our atmosphere.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the idea that they opened it from the inside and it just flapped open like it was made out of, like it was a tent.
That's a little sus. That's a little bit sus. You know, and then another thing that's really sus is that their logo on their shirt, which says NS31, right? NS31. But upside down, the way it says, it spells out lesin, Lesn, lesin, as in the sin. Isn't that fascinating? Right above Baphomet's head, it says lesin, the sin, above Baphomet's head.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that You Won't Believe Me didn't just straight up overlay the Baphomet head over there. Because I mean, I think some people sometimes reach when they're trying to find Baphomets. I don't think this is one of those times.
No.
I think it's a pretty solid connection that it looks just like it, because even like the rockets kind of look like the maybe the ears, and then it had that trail that kind of looked like would have been maybe where the horns would have been.
No, the spaceship that they were in didn't even remotely look like that. That is not the spaceship.
It looked like a penis.
Yeah,
is what it looked like.
Yes, but
So no, it did not look anything. Yeah, right. So you wouldn't have had
no spaceship looks like that either. It doesn't have big long wing spans coming down. Like that's not like any spaceship at all.
You know what's funny is that I did a video a couple years ago about all the Space Force logos, all the emblems they had, and they were all really satanic looking.
Yes.
Guys, we've got to talk about these Space Force logos. Are you kidding me? Here's number 13, lucky number 13. You know, Revelation 13 talks about a beast rising from the sea. So we got Moloch coming out of the hole in the earth, probably the sea. Let's keep looking. We got the bear from Daniel 7, obviously, he's got a key. Bottomless pit? Probably. We got number 5, fifth seal. I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Yeah, I guess the bear's got the key though. Let's keep going. Ooh, number 4, Illuminati eyeball. We got 2 lightning bolts. This is not Unit 666, believe it or not. Let's actually look at Unit 6 right now. Yeah, a 6-headed dragon. Making a 6, with 6s all over the place. And a hexagon, yeah. Ah, yes, magic number 11. Pentagram with crosshairs. Is that a building? You know, interesting thing about Roman numeral 11, if you flip it upside down, it's a 9. Let's look at that. Whoa, looks quite a bit different from this angle, doesn't it? So here's a 9 over here. We got an upside down pentagram now. And that kind of doesn't look like a building anymore. It kind of looks like a pit. Is that a bottomless pit? Because you see the concave over here? Huh. Is that something coming out of a bottomless pit? Revelation 9:11.
Actually, I mean, you can pretty much just look up like military patches, Air Force and Army and all that stuff. Navy, dude, the medals they give out, the patches they've got, they are obviously Masonic symbolism and stuff. It's just so crazy. But I mean, yeah. So yeah, you're correct. You're correct to point that out. Is that it makes no sense that if you're going up on a certain phallic-looking spaceship, you wouldn't have had that on the patch. Because it makes no sense otherwise.
Yeah, less.
So why does it look like that? Maybe because it resembles the Baphomet.
Yep, and it says "le sin," like the sin. It literally.
It also had the star of Venus on there, which Venus is Lucifer, is Beelzebul. So you got this divine female, and I think that's why you probably have like Lucifer is often depicted as kind of androgynous, divine female vibes. And you can't help but say too is what they came out of did sort of resemble an egg.
Yeah.
Yeah. The interesting part about this all together though is that so you have the stranded astronauts who came back again in a very fake CGI AI splashdown.
Dude, that was so fake looking.
But you also have this one now, and I do think that again, I don't know as many normies, or at least I don't have as many conversations with normies about this kind of stuff now. But man, the amount of people clowning on both things that are just giving us just a softball after softball, we're just hitting them out of the park. It's like that whatever their goal was with this, I don't know if it was to be made fun of, but I mean, it sure seems like that's the result of all this, because I think that most people know that Katy Perry has really weird music videos. Like one of them where she's like making out with like an alien fallen angel looking thing. Then she's obviously has the one where she's got all the Illuminati symbolism with Egypt and the Eye of Horus and everything. I mean, that's obviously just two examples. Katy Perry Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah,
She's
for sure.
she's got all the trappings of somebody who's been, again, she shows the butterfly, Project Monarch, MK Ultra programming, all the things.
And the crazy part is she used to be a Christian, bro.
Well, yeah, she was trying to make it in Christian music, could not, and then she says, and then I sold my soul, and then she became maybe one of the most famous pop stars in the whole world.
Dude,
like almost 10 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in, a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
I'll tell you another funny story. I actually met her when she was a Christian singer. She came to my church and I hung out with her. Like when she was a Christian singer, and she
you Jake Paul
I know.
and Katy Perry.
I know.
No, but what I was gonna say real quick is that I think that over the past few years, people like Brian and myself making content, and obviously not just us, people like You Won't Believe Me, exposing kind of all the nefarious satanic type things that the celebrities do. Katy Perry is high up on the list. Like I said, you mentioned that maybe it was Beyonce there. I'm surprised she wasn't, but obviously she would have fit into that mold. Well, I think for us,
there was the Kardashians though. The Kardashians are like the highest level of occult witches. They're just chilling at the base waiting for her. And Oprah.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Like all the witches, the high priest.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's surprising that Lady Gaga and Beyonce didn't go.
Yeah, I'm very surprised.
But you have, or Taylor Swift. But if you had all these, like somebody specifically like Katy Perry is the face of this, as far as most people can tell. But lots of people already know that she's connected with all this kind of weird stuff. So then we have pointed this out over the course of years, and then you tie in the SpaceX, NASA, the tomfoolery. It's like, I think a lot of people are, they're primed to see that now, and they're saying the conspiracy theorists might have a point here now, and it's like they're really. I think that a lot of people are questioning it now. What do you think?
I think people are questioning this stuff now, dude. Like, dude, I talk to people in my business when people come in to like get stickers and marketing stuff or whatever, and I talk to people, and I'm just like, and I ask them straight up, I'm like, is space real? Like, I'm like, do you believe we went to the moon? And like, bro, I'm going to tell you right now, about 50% of people that I talk to are like, yeah, we didn't go to the moon. Like from randos that I talk to, like they're like, they are already aware we didn't go to the moon. So, it doesn't mean that, everything else that they do is necessarily fake, but going to the moon, that is like 100% a joke. And I think enough people have woken up to this concept that they're like, oh man, like what else is being lied to? And so now they're starting to look at stuff like very suspiciously, like that whole stupid dude, that so CGI looking crash down, dude. I feel like I could have made a better looking, less CGI looking drop of that crash down of the astronauts that were stuck in space, because it looked so CGI, like by far it looked so CGI, and it was just like, it was laughable. And like people seeing that now are just like, that's weird. That's definitely like unnatural, like fake looking. Like what is going on here? I think enough people are starting to wake up to the realization. They don't know what it is, but they know that they're being lied to. I think they're realizing like, hey, something's not right. I don't know what, but something's not right. And then they find our channel, and then we tell them the truth.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, it was funny. I re-released that the video we did about the Challenger. That was one of that was on JT's mix. No, that was not JT's mixtape. That was Decoding Babylon, maybe like episode 10 or something like that. Yeah, we were talking about the moon landing.
Yeah,
and yeah, so the Challenger stuff. Obviously, that's a big hit every time I share that. Everyone loves that video.
But there's all the astronauts were found that died on the Challenger with brothers. Okay, 2 of them had
twin brothers.
Twin brothers. I don't know how many twins that you know, but like it's ironic.
What are the odds that 2 guys that are going on a space shuttle at the same time
are both twins?
Yeah, twin brothers. It's like
and Judith.
Yeah, Judith Resnick or something like that.
And did you see the interview where they find her? She's a professor, and they try to interview her, and she just walks away. Like, why are you so violent to the response? Why wouldn't you just be like, look, I know I look like her. It's kind of funny.
Dick Scobie, the captain guy,
Yes.
he's like, clearly is the same guy. That guy looks exactly the same. And does he have that weird company with the logo?
Cows with trees, and it's got the spiral.
Yeah, it could either look like perhaps the way that the Challenger blew up, like the smoke trail it left. It also kind of looks like 3 6s is what it looks like. You know, the funny part is like when people try to debunk that, they're like, well, this guy's not this guy. And I'm like thinking like, if one person is alive, it doesn't matter if they're all the same. You know, if one of them is alive, then the whole thing is a lie. You don't need every one of them to be correct. Maybe one of them is a different person. If one of them's correct, the whole thing is a lie. But no, so you have that kind of stuff, putting that back out there, putting the sparkle takeoff from the moon and calling Richard Nixon. Yeah, so a lot of people are really, I think I would really love to see like the chart on like the people who once did believe in the moon landing like 10 years ago versus today.
That would be pretty cool.
You know that needle has moved way to the skeptic side. But again, like I said, I'm a little bit out of touch with the typical normies.
Where's Joe Rogan on this scale? Does he believes the moon landing is fake or real? Where's he at?
I know that he knows it's fake.
He used to know it was fake.
But the real question is, what does he say now? I think he's in the agnostic camp. He's not sure now.
Really?
But
he's in the agnostic.
Yeah. That's what I said. Like he's rubbing shoulders with fake astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. Of course, he doesn't want to sound stupid.
You don't want to offend
him.
him.
Yeah, but whatever. But
look how much power people have when you have like this title or this thing. It like puts so much power over your name that you like don't even want to like say exactly what you think. Isn't that crazy?
Appeal to authority. Yeah, it's the appeal to authority stuff.
Dude, it's so crazy. Like if I met Neil, I'd be like, bro, you know the moon landing's fake. Like, and you're like literally you are so disillusioned to the reality that you live in if you honestly think it's not fake. And I can show you. And he'll be like, oh, well, maybe the sparkle was just like a weird film effect or blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, come on.
He's an actor. He's an actor like Bill Nye, the fake science guy. All right, let's go to another video. This is actually not quite the same, but this might fit a little bit. This is more in line with the satanic technology.
I can't even believe that I'm saying this, but yesterday I was invited to the Nubbin launch, and if you have seen all of the promotions for this device, all of the people with the milky eyes kind of around London, this is the newest kind of tech revolution. This is the next step in the VR tech, and I got a chance to go and try it and to have it fitted to me, and then I was gifted one. So I haven't actually tried using it myself yet because yesterday they have only like calibrated them to us, but I took one home with me, which to be fair, I didn't expect that they would just be giving those away to us. They're quite pricey, so I am super grateful for that. But this is it. This is the nubbin that you add to the side of your head, and that allows you to basically be transferred into any universe that you might want to go to for gaming, for just experiences. This is the future. So I thought that we should try it together on video, and I'm just going to, oh, that feels okay. I think that's on there. So all that I need to do is to press it and say enter game. So okay, apparently you need to be like in a seated position, you need to be comfortable. Okay, this is on now. I'm gonna lean back. I don't wanna. Enter game. Okay, Jesus. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Okay, this is not real. This is how is this technology just out there? What the hell? Okay, just to try to describe it to you, it's mad because if you've ever worn a VR set, this is like your consciousness being transformed into VR. Oh my god, I have goosebumps. This is too much. Okay, I'm gonna go play around with it. You can go check out TKRA Systems. They are on TikTok. I think they're announcing like a wider release soon, but this is their latest technology. I feel so strange right now. I have goosebumps, but I'm gonna go play around with this a little bit more. Wow.
This is a joke, bro. There's no way.
Is that real or not? Is that fake?
There's no way. That is totally. It's got to be like a stunt thing. Her eyes going white like that.
Yeah, I know. That actually made me like. I didn't notice that when I first.
Like, there's no way. This is just some kind of like viral like. I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. Let's go. Let's check out this article right here. Yeah, because I was seeing when I saw her eyes start to change, I was like, wait, that's either really fake or it's really scary.
They're giving them out because they're so pricey. Like, this has got to be fake.
Oh, you know what? It is fake. Sorry, guys, but you know what? I guess you don't even know what's real anymore. It says, yeah, it's fictional.
And what's it based off of? I was like, dude, there's no way. Like,
I guess it's saying it's promoting the new season of Black Mirror.
Oh, interesting.
I apologize, guys, but I did think that could have been real.
The thing is, like, the minute I saw the eyes go out, I'm like, there's no way. Like, I don't like, dude, that technology to be able to do something like that, I'd be like, dude, if we are already at that far along, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like. Because I was like thinking, how would that work? Like, is it got to it would have to like transfer sound waves to your eye and vibrations in your eyes. So it would, but that would like damage your eyes too. But like, it would have to do like vibrating frequencies to create some type of imagery. That was like the only way I could imagine something like that even being possible to do that, because there's no other way we can interface with that type of thing. So I'm like, there's no freaking way. But the concerning part is that's the direction we're headed. You know, like that's the direction we are headed. So I don't know, man.
I could see. Is it something that potentially could be real, and it's presented in a Duper's Delight fashion or a predictive programming of things that they're trying to do?
You know, it is on that Black Mirror television show, you said, right?
Yeah, what if you combine it with, like, I don't know, a neural link?
Well, that's kind of what it is, right? It's like the same thing.
Right, but I mean, what if you had a chip that was already in your brain, a la Elon Musk, and you stuck that thing there, and this would give you, like, almost like it'd program your chip that's in your brain to do something else, run a different program.
Well, that's what's going to happen eventually, like, right? Because I mean, like, the chip, I think that is kind of how you interface with the Elon Musk's chip thing. I think that's how you do it. I think it is like there's an outside device that connects it in some way, and it's like communicative. So yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, once you have a chip integrated into your brain, you could just essentially put a little device here and, like, you know, do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it's the thing. It was believable enough, but yeah, I think I was thinking like the whole eyes going glazed over, kind of like white. Where, sorry guys, false alarm, but maybe something to be on the lookout for. But speaking of mind control, I've got an interesting video from Candace Owens.
So, true story. The CIA back in the day did this experiment where they placed 18 people in a room. 17 of those people were actually CIA agents, and one of them was just an unwitting member of the public. So the person that was running the experiment showed every single person in the room a picture of a triangle. It was very clearly a picture of a triangle, and he asked every person in the room to simply state what they saw on the picture. Well, despite it clearly being a triangle, all of the agents were instructed to say square. So imagine you're in this room with 17 other people. You think that you're all off the side of the street, and they start going around and everyone says, oh, what is that? A square, a square. What do you see? A square, a square, a square, a square. Well, by the time it gets to you and you're the 18th person, you're going, oh, am I crazy? I see a triangle. And guess what that 18th person said? Well, they said square. because they didn't want to be the crazy person in the room. That is exactly how the media works. They are the agents in the room that are repeating square, 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 until you're supposed to just completely abandon reason and just join them and say, yeah, no, totally, that's a square. If the CIA had me in that room, I would be like, are you guys crazy? It's a freaking triangle. You guys need to get your heads checked. Why are you all saying square? Trust your gut. Your gut is God-given.
Brian, have you ever heard that story?
Yes, and I would be right there with Candace. I'd be like, triangle. Like I wouldn't even care what other people say. I'd be like, you guys, like, I'm like, something's wrong with y'all's eyes. But there was more experiments than just that one. They actually did there's actually a famous YouTube skit you can watch where they've done this as well. And they had all these people come into the room, and they had people, they played a beeping noise, and then everybody stood up whenever the beep is, and then they sat down, and all of them were actors. And then they had one guy come in, and they saw that everybody else, they would beep while they're waiting. They would all stand up, and then the guy would stand up with them just because he was like, what is everybody doing? And then slowly they replaced the CIA guy, or the actors that were standing up. They would bring one of them away and bring a new non-related person into the room. And then they slowly cycled out to where it was all the non-actors were in the room, and there was no more actors, and they would play a beep sound, and consecutively everyone in the room would stand up. And there's been they did another experiment. They've done multiple experiments like this, and it was the same thing with the Tuskegee experiments, or was it what was the one where the prison, where they put the people in the prison?
Tuskegee was when I think they were doing stuff on wasn't on the African American pilots or something like that.
Yeah, that might have been that one.
Yeah, they were doing bad things to minorities.
Yes.
But yeah, I think I know you were talking about something. Wasn't that like Berkeley or something like that?
In Berkeley, where they did the experiment where they put all the people in the prison situation, and they convinced the other prisoners to go along with it, and they convinced people. They wanted to see how suggestive the other people that were guards were, and the suggestibility of the guards ended up becoming equally brutal and evil, along with the other ones that were leading the experiment. And it was like these innocent people, and then there was the people that were put in positions of authority started beating the other innocent people in the experiment. And it was just because it was told that was the normal thing to do. And it was almost like seeing how far humans will go along with corruption and wickedness if they're told to do it, or if they're shown to do it, or if that's what is going to cost them looking differently than the norm. And bro, the amount of things that humans go to is disturbingly surprising. It's so disturbing when you see all these experiments. Yeah, totally true. It's all brainwashing. Yeah. This is how witchcraft works, guys. This is how hypnosis works. This is it's like subliminal subconscious mind programming. You see it and you don't want to stand out because of fear of society, because we're societal creatures. So you go along with it. And that's so sad. And you should never, ever, ever, ever do it. If you see a triangle, be the crazy person that says that's a triangle. Because you know what it says in the Bible, guys? It says cowards go to hell. Just a side note.
That's true. Well, it's interesting. It makes me think of that meme where it's the one person pointing and there's all the other people. Yes, you are all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it does kind of feel like it takes a lot of courage. And I do think that obviously people in this community are the people who would say, no, you guys are all crazy. You guys are all wrong. But yeah, it does feel like this is your NPC finder, right? This is how they find the NPCs. This is probably how, again, they probably subject these people to other tests afterwards because of their suggestibility, right? Yeah, this is how they work into hypnosis. And this is kind of how, this is how they broadcasting, spelling, all the things, television. This is how they use this. And so then you get big world events and you wonder, everybody's putting the one flag in their bio again. Everyone's doing all this same thing again. People are putting back on their things over their face. It's they're driving around in their cars wearing them. What?
Where you're at right now, you see that?
No, sometimes people still are doing that. And you're like, wow. And obviously we're not going to talk too deeply about that, but like this is how this kind of stuff happens, is because more often than not, yeah, the people would say it's a square because everyone else did, despite what their eyes, their mind, and their heart says. They're saying, I don't want to be different. And it's like, yeah, I mean, in a world like this, it's like, it's good to be different. You know, it's like, you don't want to be, you know, the road that's to destruction is broad. Many go down that path. The narrow road, and the gate is narrow. Few enter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like it's okay to be different, you know, especially in these instances. But it is interesting.
It says it says that God calls you as a peculiar people. You are his peculiar people. He likes people that are different and unique and unusual. He likes that. The Lord likes it. He calls us his peculiar people. We're supposed to stand out and be different than the rest of the world. So I encourage anybody that's struggling to fit in, stand out like you're supposed to, like God wants you to, in a sense. Like, don't go with the fishes that are all going that way. If all the fishes are going in one direction, chances are, this is my view on life. I see all the fishes swimming one way, and I just go, you know what? I look around and I'm like, are these fishes happy? And I'm like, they don't look happy. They don't look happy. They don't look happy. Why would I ever go do the same thing that all them other fishes are doing? I do the opposite, like what a lot of people are doing. I'm like, I am not going to go that direction. Everyone's going that direction. I think I'm going to go this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go against the conventional wisdom, and usually you'll probably end up correct. All right, I got another video that's along the lines of, again, satanic technology. Check this out, Brian. This is kind of like last week's news, but if it's new to you, it's new.
This is insane. Scientists have just shocked the world after releasing a video where you can hear the first direwolf howl in 10,000 years. The Times just wrote an article about it and described it as the return of the direwolf. Now, if you didn't already know, direwolves once roamed the Americas from Canada all the way down to Venezuela. But about 10,000 years ago, they vanished, going extinct along with other giant Ice Age animals like the mammoth. But their bones stayed behind. And fast forward to 2025, scientists at Colossal Biosciences recently discovered ancient DNA inside fossils that dated all the way back from 11,000 to 72,000 years old. Then, using that DNA that they discovered, they managed to decode the direwolf's entire genetic blueprint. And here is where things get wild. They took ordinary DNA from a gray wolf and then edited it gene by gene to perfectly match the ancient direwolf's genetic code. Then, using domestic dogs as surrogate mothers, Romulus and Remus were born in October. Colossal claim that they are the first de-extinct animals ever. And at just 6 months old, they are already 4 feet long, weigh 80 pounds. And what's crazier is that instead of being really friendly and cuddly, the Times report that they're kind of cold, cautious, and avoid humans entirely. They even avoid the people who raised them and bottle fed them from birth. Colossal posted about this achievement on X, saying, "This moment marks not just a milestone for us as a company, but also a leap forward for science, conservation, and humanity." They said they're aiming to revolutionize endangered species by mastering genetic technology. And if successful, not only could we hold on to our current species from going extinct, but maybe even bring back the ones lost to the past. However, not everyone is celebrating. Some say calling this de-extinction is disingenuous, arguing that they are only grey wolves with 20 edited genes to mimic direwolf traits. And others warn that this kind of genetic meddling could lead to catastrophic consequences. But what do you think? Is this an amazing scientific breakthrough that should continue to be pursued? Or are we messing with things far beyond our control, risking consequences that we can't possibly predict?
What say you, Brian?
You know, so I was worked with Jack Horner before, and he's the paleontologist that was trying to bring dinosaurs back to life through doing the same process with chickens. Essentially, he was like trying to modify the chicken genome, and he, you know, did the same exact thing. They also tried to find the T-Rex DNA sequence, but they weren't able to get it. They got a large portion of the T-Rex's genetic code, by cutting into the bones of T-Rexes because they found live tissue, which, by the way, T-Rexes aren't that old if you can pull out DNA from them. Surprise, surprise.
Or whatever those things were, the bones
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, so they were able to pull out the majority of the T-Rex's genetic code, but they weren't able to get the complete genetic code. And because of that, if they were to try to do what this thing did, I'm to a degree, they edited the code to mimic that. So to some degree, it's just another dog. It's not a de-extinct It's not a de-extinct animal. Like it's all it is to me is a dog that's been modified through genetic sequence modification. Because like we can't fully give birth to a creature that isn't one of those creatures. Like essentially, like even if they got the DNA of the T-Rex fully mapped, like it would have to have an embryo to be grown in, and that embryo would basically be a chicken or some kind of bird that would modify that thing to allow that creature to hatch. And then it would mimic some of those gene traits, but it wouldn't exactly be that thing. And also it wouldn't exactly have children that were that thing. So each one of these things would actually have to be individually created. And so its offspring wouldn't mimic the characteristics of itself. So if those pups end up having pups, they're not going to be the same genetic makeup as those ones are. Does that make sense? Because the gene modification doesn't necessarily modify the outcome of the gene modification, the outcome of its cell reproductive functions. So like that's a whole nother layer of cell modification that we just don't do yet. We haven't created it yet. Maybe they have. I don't know.
Well,
since I've last looked into the genetic stuff, maybe they've found ways. I don't know.
Well, you know what I think?
What?
I think it's fake. I think almost all of the stuff is fake. And I've got a great video from your boy here that I was calling this stuff over like almost 3 years ago. Because this is interesting. So keep that name in mind. They said Colossus was the name. And but one other thing to note is that they named them Romulus and Remus. After I guess what was it? These two twin boys were raised by wolves, and they're the ones who founded Rome.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out this video that I did a couple years ago, and you'll see who's actually behind this. And this might give you a little more insight into what we're supposed to do with all this.
Guys, the CIA is ready to resurrect woolly mammoths. Yeah, this is a real headline. Yeah, I'm not making this stuff up. Yeah, really. But is that what they're really trying to do? The CIA's venture capital firm deems powerful genetic manipulation tools worth the money. Okay, so there we go. So what's this all about, really? This is what it's about. Do you guys remember Joe Biden's executive order on advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing? Well, this is the fruit. And In-Q-Tel is a venture capital firm. The CIA takes our tax dollars, runs it through this company, and then funds this kind of playing God technology, CRISPR technology, where they're going to edit DNA, gene splice, hack animals probably, and resurrect woolly mammoths apparently. But don't worry, don't worry, because the U.S. and the CIA are going to help set the ethical standards for use of this stuff. Read below. Don't laugh. So are they only going to resurrect woolly mammoths with this stuff? Obviously not. They're going to resurrect Tasmanian tigers and probably even maybe a Nephilim or two. So yeah, pretty cool.
Resurrect maybe a Nephilim or two.
Okay, let me see. It actually mentions the company. Yeah, right over here. So it says the CIA invested in this technology, and it says Colossus uses CRISPR gene editing, a method of genetic engineering based on natural occurring DNA sequence. So it's Colossus is the company that this article was about.
Wow.
So the CIA has this pass-through company called In-Q-Tel, and In-Q-Tel gave the money to Colossus.
Well, Colossus
and this
of
is what it
was the and the Colossus of Nero was like the image of Satan. That is Satan. So it's funny that they call it Colossus, because it's like,
of course,
obviously that somebody that wants to be resurrected was Nero. That was the resurrecting of Nero to some degree. So he's referred to as Colossus.
The funny part about that article is they mention woolly mammoths and Tasmanian tigers, but they don't mention direwolves. So why did they make those first? If they could do all. Well, I guess the point is like that Isn't it kind of funny that they say that these things are really big now?
Mm-hmm.
They're like 4 foot long and 80 pounds. Why do they just show like little baby puppies then?
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's like, to me, it's like if you made a dire wolf, which of course everybody's mind goes to Game of Thrones, these gigantic wolves, right? It's going to be huge. So obviously showing a little wolf pup is not really, like I said, that's not proof for me. And anyways, it's kind of like that. Would I be shocked to find out that little video of those things were not even really real wolves at all? They were probably done with AI and they made it look like these cute, pure white dire wolves. Like I said, because I think I still stick with my original take on that, was that you have this initiative during the Biden administration about biotechnology, and they were using it to likely use it on people. They don't care about, why would the CIA care about making dire wolves or woolly mammoths or Tasmanian tigers? Why would they care about that?
It's not.
It's always about
people,
our DNA.
Yeah.
It's always about doing stuff like that. And yeah, maybe potentially, I mean, I used to have that thought that if they could potentially gain some kind of DNA from some ancient Nephilim, like if they found the tomb of Gilgamesh.
Oh wait, didn't they find that? Oh yeah, sure they did.
Well, supposedly they did.
Well,
but
it's in Hillary Clinton's emails under WikiLeaks if you look it up. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, there's a case to be made that they did, but let's just say they did. What if they could extract some kind of DNA from that? Would they use that to make super soldiers, X-Men, Avengers? Would they do that?
Nephilim.
Yes, obviously they would do that. I mean, I know that sounds a little bit comic book like, but of course I used all comic book examples. But yeah, like I think that's what they would want to do. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Captain America type stuff. That's what they want to do. Or they want to make people controllable.
Or they want to make vessels for demons to utilize. This is my theory. One of mine is, at least, because it's like, what if they can make cloned vessels that are empty and hollow shells that they can put entities in? That's
skin suits.
Yeah,
skin suits for demons, which many people have speculated that could be what gray aliens are.
Yeah,
because we don't believe they're from outer space. What if they just are vessels for demons? Okay, I think we got time for a couple more videos, and we're gonna switch gears. I think I found a pretty interesting video from a comedian who's been canceled, by the way. But this is a really interesting take. It's a little older video, but somebody shared this to me on Instagram. This is really good, Brian.
We love to tell ourselves like every religion is exactly no, they're not. The Christians won everything. If you don't believe me, let me ask you a question. What year is it? It's 2017. It's been 2017 years since what? Anybody yell it out. Yes, Christ!
The Christians won, obviously. Like, it's such a valid point, and I think it totally ties into the fact that I think Christianity spread all over the world at that moment. I think it was like wildfire. I don't think they could stop it. Like, I think it just went everywhere. And so,
well, they definitely couldn't stop it. But I mean, I think that's a point I've continued to try to stress to people, whether they believe we're in the little season or not. I would say that it cannot be overstated that we live in, whether you believe it or not, we live in 2025 Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. And yeah, everybody says that. And it's like, it's funny. It takes a secular comedian to point that out. But the modern Christian church does not recognize how big a deal that is. It is kind of like that. Even like people in the conspiracy truther community, they'll say, oh, well, Rome co-opted Christianity, and then they kind of did a thing with it, and then they kind of made it a little bit pagan and all this. Well, but they were just pagans before.
Yeah.
So like, why would they need to do that? You know, like, to me, it's kind of like that when people throw shade at like Constantine. Again, like that, I'm not saying that everything he did was good, but the point is, it's like, it was the biggest of big deals that the Roman Empire converted to Christianity at some point. And whether that happened like right before the Armageddon happened or not. Again, like the timeline is way off, but the point is that the current timeline is centered around Christ. The Christians won everything. Jesus won everything. It was a guaranteed victory. And that most certainly happened. So when we try to piece things together in the little season, some people point to the buildings and they'll say that's evidence of a physical reign on earth. I think the physical reign on earth was reign through the believers who are filled with the Holy Spirit, connected with the kingdom of heaven. So yes, the buildings could certainly be evidence of that. The cathedrals and being churches everywhere and temples to Christ everywhere. Yeah, I know that God does not dwell in buildings made by human hands anymore. But that said, he dwells in the people who enter those buildings to worship the one true God and to glorify his son, Jesus Christ. I think it can't be overstated. This is evidence that it went everywhere.
Yep.
And everyone recognizes, whether they want to or not, that Jesus is Lord, because they say we live in the year 2025 of our Lord. Of our Lord who? Of our Lord Jesus Christ.
That's it. That's like, it's so true. It's so evident. And that's why every culture, and if you guys go to Ancient Angels and watch our Ancient Angels podcast, like, bro, it literally I break down so many parts of every culture points to Jesus. Like every religion points to Jesus. It all points to Jesus, or it's a distortion from Jesus. And it's so obvious. It's just like something happened. It spread like wildfire and something happened. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, but it is interesting. You have, like literally you have a secular comedian saying that. And it's like that people do take for granted that it's like that. I think it is easy to get focused on the bad, and I could say maybe we could fall into that trap at times and just focusing on all the negative. But yeah, I think it's awesome, and I do think it should give you a little bit more optimism, or at least should give you more, again, walking in the authority that Christ is King. We can say that, and we can say that with the facts on our side.
Yeah.
Everyone says it, regardless if they want to or not. They have to recognize that Jesus Christ is Lord, because they say, when they say the year.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's pretty awesome,
That's pretty
right?
funny, actually. And what does it say?
Like I said,
every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. That is funny.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Yeah, obviously everyone's going to bow willingly or unwillingly one day.
Yep.
But yeah, but even right now, even unknowingly, subconsciously, they are proclaiming Christ as Lord when they say what year it is.
That's hilarious.
All right, we'll watch one. Let's do one more video, and this is kind of a follow up on last week's theme of hidden stuff in America.
Okay.
This is the Bat Creek stone. It was found during the course of an official Smithsonian evacuation. The Smithsonian didn't understand the meaning of the writing on the stone. They thought it was Cherokee, since it came from Cherokee country. They didn't realize that it's actually Hebrew. They had published this originally upside down. They threw it in a box at the bottom of the Smithsonian, put it in the basement. Many years later, a scholar took it out of the box, looked at it, and went, oh my gosh, it's upside down. It's Phoenician, ancient Hebrew. So what's going on here? What is that about?
Where was that found?
Tennessee.
And it's really, really old?
I guess the truth is we don't know how old it is. I mean, that's the whole thing with what's happening now, is kind of the veil being thinned or being pulled away, and some of these things are being revealed. It's we just did a video not that long ago about there being this temple that was covered by a lake in Tennessee. Right? It's just weird. It's weird stuff. But I mean, there was also, again, I did that podcast with Old World Florida, and we had both talked about that the Columbus believed that the Native Americans had some kind of ancestry back to the Hebrews. It was really weird. And if you think about the languages they speak, I've heard two different things, that the Native Americans had some kind of a dialect that resembled like an ancient Germanic language, but some people have said that it resembled some kind of ancient Hebrew. I think it's really interesting because it's like, what is that? What is that? And of course, it has something to do with the Smithsonian. I think it's funny. It's like that. Of course, they're involved. But yeah, I mean, I think that again, this falls into the category of I'm not sure where to put this, but maybe the Americas were older and more significant than we realize.
Well, they are definitely hiding things for sure. And it's like, what is it that they're hiding that they don't want people to know is like kind of the alarming part, you know? And then if you look at like the ancient Chinese and the ancient Hebrew or the ancient Hebrew writing with Japanese writing, bro, it like mirrors in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of stuff with ancient writings of Hebrewic texts that have been found on all kinds of certain spots. And it's like hidden in. It's like there is something about our past that's being covered up or hidden. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like the story of Jesus like spread all over the place like wildfire, and everybody believed it and everybody knew it and everybody received it and everybody was like, whoa, yeah, this is real, and let's reset the calendar. So like this is the big $1 million question I think people are missing, is that this understanding of Jesus already went all over the place.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think to me it's interesting. You know what's funny too, as we'll just close with this, is that I saw this interesting video, and somebody was talking about how like in the Indiana Jones movies, which I love, it's like Indiana Jones is kind of like the ultimate like hero type guy, but he's working for like the Smithsonian, because like every time he sees an artifact that belongs in a museum.
Terrible.
And you're like, no, keep it away from the museums, because then the people will never see it.
Yep.
It's like that. These are the people who are like literally in charge of like covering up our true history.
It's a brainwashing tactic. That line, that belongs in a museum, like that's literally like saying like, hey, if you guys find something, bring it to the museum so we can dispose of it properly, really is what that's saying. And it was just a brainwashing tactic. That whole movie was.
Yeah, like the whole idea is like, of course, from our thought process is that it'll be put in a museum, everyone will get to see it.
Yeah.
But we know now that that's not the case, because it's like a really good example of this is that, that they take things that don't fit the narrative and they hide them.
Yep.
Obviously, giant bones, giant temples, anything in America that does not fit. They try to say things that were clearly buildings, that they're natural rock formations and things like that. It's over and over again. There's countless examples of, and like literally there are like, I'm not even sure. I know Stargate Voyager, Derek Olson. He's done a lot of research into like just having old newspaper clippings that have something to do with giant bones were discovered here, and then the Smithsonian comes, and then like, so what happened to the giant bones?
Disappeared.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That never even happened, even though it's in countless newspaper articles. I don't know what to do with that, other than saying it's actually really cool to think again, like as we talked last week about, there is a lot more mystery still to be found in information to be gleaned. But at the end of the day, Christ is king. Whether it's 2025 or not, it's still the year of our Lord. And I think, there's a lot more to figure out before hopefully the end.
Yep. I'm down to explore and figure it out. And so is this cute little dog.
Well, on that note, guys, appreciate you hanging out with us. Please check out the sponsor. Click in the description, Modern Roots Life. It help me out, maybe help you guys out. And check out Brian's podcast, the Ancient Angels podcast, which once again has yours truly on it. So I'll leave a link to Brian's podcast there. And also when Brian's podcast on the Sean Kelly Social Hour comes out, we'll be sure to let you guys know. But anyways, guys, love y'all. God bless.
See you later.
everyone left me, everyone deserted me, Jesus was always there. When everyone hated me and walked away, Jesus never walked away.